we've seen what City did last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
They continue to spend the money well, in my opinion.
They just wrapped up another deal, haven't they?
Well, so
Guardiola.
Oh, is that done?
Well,
They wanted
last
100
I read,
million euros.
Last I read, they were quoted a big fee and they just agreed. They said,
Well, that
Alright.
contradicts my next point.
all right.
So I was going to say, they got to a point now where players want to be part of that movement so much. You can make relatively astute signings on obviously large wages, but maybe not as large as you would if you were someone else.
Yeah.
That Kovacic still, 30 million or something for him. I think that's the steal. I don't care if he's 29 going on 30. That is a steal for him. Wages wise, they agreed terms with him apparently 2 weeks ago, so that probably wasn't hard. But I reckon if Arsenal or Liverpool goes for him, I think that deal's slightly different. I think he wants certain things. He probably feels like the value he's bringing, etc., etc.
Yeah, more
But no one will
assurances.
give them credit for picking up a Kovacic at that price. And then he'll go on to play 40 games next season and be crucial to it. But he's a whole big spending Man City. And it's what do other teams need to do transfer-wise so we can have a 3 or 4 horse race next season or the year after?
I think, as ever, if you're not in a situation, okay, so City are in a situation where they've got, number one, they've got a few things that are going their way, right? They've got the money, obviously. They've got the funds to buy the players. They've got arguably the best manager in the world, and that's a pull in itself. As a player, you're going to want to play for the best coach. He's going to get the best out of you.
Well, I had company say today, I wish I played for Pep when I was 19.
There you go. There you go. Like you're playing for a coach who's going to arguably bring out the best in you, right? And then you're going to a team that are almost guaranteed to win trophies, right? I mean, they're as close to as certified as a lock-on to win trophies as you can get, right? So I think for City, they've got all of that going in their favour. So for the other clubs, you're going up a greasy slope, right? So you definitely...
I think there's another bit as well, bro. Just to add to that, they're a really well-run club. So the whole football operation, director of football, I am not even going to try and say his name because that would be it.
Chicky.
Cheers. I would have just Hall of Fame straight away. He's there. They got the head of football operations, and it's well noted. No matter how they source their funds, that they run the club. They run the club very, very well.
Yeah.
Even the whole Gundogan situation. Yeah, they were only offered him 1 year plus 1 year option. No, because when I said it the other way before, you lot had tried to get onto me. When I said Gundogan, you lot tried to get onto me. They're like,
I'm not saying it.
so you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Innit? It's one or the other. So I've done the other one for you, and you're still anyway. And they said as much as we want him, Pep wanted him. Pep tried to put pressure on. At your age, 1+1, little bit increment on your wages, and that was it. And he said Barcelona offered him 2 guaranteed plus option of a 1 year after.
Yeah.
So he left. So I think you got to your 2 earlier points. Then they're a super well run club, so the stability is kind of there. So yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, so you're looking at all of that, right? So as another club, whether it's Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, whoever it is,
Just forget it.
you literally have to. It's pretty much that. You literally have to have a scouting system that is A1, or you have to have the Tony Bloomfield database, right? And then have the funds to go and get the players within those databases. Your player purchases, there's less margin for error than City, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring in the right players that are going to come in, add value straight away.
Yeah, they need to hit the ground running.
You don't even have the luxury of a player coming in and going and we've got to give him a bedding in.
Like the luxury they had of giving 100 million Jack Grealish some time to bed in and get into Pep's ways.
City can afford to do
It's
that.
not even Jack Grealish. Like you look at John Stones has been there 4 or 5 years, and you can only say now
relax, B. He had a good spot. He had a year and a half before where he was.
No, I'm saying like
running.
he's been good, but it's now everyone's like wow kind of thing. Even like Ake,
I understand what he's saying.
yeah, like
Because Stones at Barnsley, if you saw him then, and then if you saw him in his first 2, maybe 3 seasons, he didn't look like he was going to hit the potential.
Yeah.
No,
he
I
was
do
showing
feel like when he
advances.
got there was a bit of a dip. Then he had a
But
period where he
now-
played really well, super well. But remember, he was back in the England team. He was starting,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Then he got injured. That's when Laporte came,
He's
innit?
arguably what? City's England's best defender right now.
Yes, I would.
Yeah,
I would
oh
say.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. For real.
Without a
Him,
shadow
him
of a
and
doubt.
Walker. Yeah, you could say, innit? Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
No, it's true.
So City have that luxury to allow players to bed in. No one else has that.
What are you saying? What are you saying, Keith? What are you saying?
So
Isaac's just painted a bleak picture for us.
I know, but
I just think it is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
I think for anyone that wants to challenge City, one, whoever you sign, you've got to have a generous injury kind of run with your team in it.
Yeah.
So like, I know you can say I'll bring it back to Liverpool, but when we won the league and the couple years that we challenged City, we barely had any injuries. Like we could pretty much put out a consistent team. Think about it, we were playing Gini, Milner and Hendo religiously.
Why do you think they're so burnt out right now, bro?
Oh, that's fair. I didn't even
Religiously.
The front three were...
And Thiago wasn't about yet.
Yeah,
No.
season before last, again, we've had the consistent front three
Yeah.
of Mane, Salah, Firmino,
Mm.
then brought in Luis Diaz.
Mm.
Consistency, like, so you need that in your favour.
Mm.
You need all your players, or at least 10 of your
Consistency,
players
yeah.
playing at like minimum 7.5
Nah, man.
each week.
8.5.
I said,
I think it's 8.5 still.
okay, eight.
I think
Okay,
it's
8. Let's go 8.
Yeah. I
Like
think it's
minimum, you need 10 players week in, week out. Whoever comes in
8. Yeah.
has got to be at the
And you got to
races.
play at 8 for like 32 games.
Literally.
Yeah. Like,
Literally.
And then if it's not the same 32 games, then hopefully the spread covers the 38, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you got to have that.
Yeah. Mad.
And then, yeah, like I said, you got to, whoever you sign.
But remember, link it back to transfers. So yeah, whoever
Yeah,
you
saying
sign.
whoever you
Yeah.
sign has got to hit the ground running pretty much.
See, I'm a bit of an idealist, innit? So I believe, in football, evening things out. Am I convincing? So no, generally I think the thing that Pep said actually kind of resonates a bit. He's like, look, only way I can keep winning, it's kind of harsh, is by changing the players. That's what he said. He said, it's hard to be motivated. He's like, if I said to you, you were the best in the world for a period of time, very, very, very few people in any sport, in any walk of life, can then get up again and say, I want to do that again.
Yeah.
So he's like, I've got to keep changing the team.
Especially in a team sport. Like if it's an individual, you can
Yeah.
say fair enough. But
So I think in the transfer market, what clubs need to do, and it sounds so obvious, and I would like to think that people at that elite level of the game, this is what they're doing all the time. But sometimes their signings say otherwise, right? And I think what the clubs do need to do is just be as strategic as they can with the signings, right? Like, don't fall into the trap of the big hefty signings. I think we talked about this in the group before. Very, very few big signings work out. Like if you look at any record signings, big blockbuster signings, over the years, very few of them work out. And I actually think what a lot of clubs can do to knock City off the perch is to look at the kind of players City are signing. Because apart from Grealish, how many other players have they signed? And they're going to do it now with my man. But how many, if we look at their whole list, how many of them did they sign and they were blockbuster record signings? They're not many.
yeah.
Whereas everyone else has been breaking records on a regular basis. Man
So,
United.
yeah, what City have been good at is staying in that 50-60 bracket
Yeah.
without kind of exposing themselves to kind of being like, oh, they've broken a record every year, etc.
And I think it's played itself out well. Like,
Here's a question. Do you think, all right, looking at the players that City or Pep has brought in,
Yep.
and then kind of looking at other teams' purchases, in order to stay within that range, you kind of have to look at players, certain types of players that fit your system, right?
True.
I'm not in the market to buy who's hot at the moment, or I'm not in the market to buy the best. I'm in the market to buy
What works for me.
what works,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So you're going after players, but Jack Grealish
Yeah.
or Harry Kane, who they were linked to, and you're going after players who are not quite sought after.
And Haaland, to a certain extent, like the buyout clause saved them. They would have paid the 100 million.
They would
for
otherwise.
whatever.
There's no buyout clause. You're in the. You're damn near
You're
touching
breaking
200
your
million.
numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, bar those types of players, he's bringing in players that are hardly sought after, or if they are, there's not that much. There's a few question marks. But Pep's obviously seen something in them to bring them in, cut price deal, or it cut price-ish deal, and they work and they fit in the system, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you look at Liverpool, who had to spend 70 plus, which was a big transfer at the time, or Man United, who had to pay 90 plus for Pogba, or 80 for Maguire.
But I think it's no coincidence.
Can you see what I'm trying to say here?
But I think it's no coincidence that you guys have been the closest to them in recent years, because you're also the other club. Whilst you spent big,
we also sold big as well.
Well, not even that. You spent big on players because the clubs, wanted the value of letting them go rather than they were the in-fashion player at the time, right? So lots of people could have signed Van Dijk. But as we heard all the stories, they thought he wasn't this and he wasn't that, blah, blah, blah. And Southampton said, look, we know he's going to be a quality player. Other people didn't believe that, so they didn't want to match what you paid. And you paid it and it's worked out well. Alisson is the same. At the time, I think Alisson and Kepa were the big
we broke
fees.
we broke the world record for a goalkeeper,
right?
And then they broke it a few years later.
And then, so through your spine, but again, who else? Kepa, Alisson, Van Dijk. Who was the other?
We bought Fabinho for just shy of 50.
But again, was he another trendy player? He wasn't someone that was.
The thing is, like, there are players that were
because that
were
Monaco
known.
team.
There are players that known, but no one. There wasn't like a clamour over them, and I think that's what Isaac's saying. Like a lot of the City signings, there's been no clamour over them.
And I'm saying there's no coincidence that you're kind of the other team that were doing that. It's no coincidence that you guys are up there. So you make those kind of good signings, and I still see other clubs doing some of the same. Like even to this day, on the limited evidence, I don't understand why Arsenal and Chelsea were doing hammer and tongs over Modric. There was a limited sample of information. He had a few games in Champions League, but he'd only played 30 professional games, I think, stupid at that point. And I just, sometimes from the outside, it just looks like...
Sorry, Modric?
Yeah.
Modric.
Oh, Modric. Sorry, I thought you said Modric, sorry.
No, Modric. Yeah. And I was thinking, from the out, obviously, you've got your analysts, you've got your data, but sometimes it just does feel like this is if we need to get him, so no one else, before someone else does.
But this is where your director of football comes in, right?
Yeah.
A good director of football will sift through the nonsense. They will work with the scouting team or whoever and the manager as well to an extent, and find the right players rather than just the Ed Woodward approach and just going who's hot, how am I going to appease the fans and the shareholders.
Yeah. Who's going to sell shirts?
Exactly.
But that approach can go wrong. I mean, you could argue Wenger did that for the second half, but I would say that went wrong for the second half of Tinder because I think he changed the profile of the players when everyone else was going the other way. Went from big, strong players, Vieira's, Ori's, Petit, all of that, to small technical players. And Mourinho was standing up with teams of 6'4" players
bullies
every week, bullies with techers. And it's the same with City. Again, no one really talks about it, but overall, they're a pretty large team than they are smaller teams. You've got 2 or 3 small men, and then everyone else is your 5'11s, your 6s. That's not an accident, right? So I do think that the clubs have to be more strategic with their signings. And again, it's stating the obvious, but they got to go out there but you got to have the coach that can do that. So if you're Man City and you're right at the top, you could think, well, actually, we're just going to go and cherry pick the best. But to your point, when you got a coach like Pep and a coaching staff in the system, when you pick someone from Benfica, Benfica to 5 times champions of England and Champions League finalists, it's a big jump. It's not massive. Most players have to make 1 or 2 steps. When you pluck people from there or from another kind of European League team, you've got to have faith that that's going to come true. And I think other big clubs, they have this attitude of, you know what? You go to that League One team first, or you go to that next, and then we'll see if you're ready for Arsenal or for Chelsea. And I think they need to stop doing that. If someone's got the talent, go and pick them up. We need to skip that step. We're not that team anymore. And we need to see the value in those players because we're not going to be a club. You know, we're going to sign Declan Rice for 100 million, hopefully. I don't think you're going to see too many of those signings, bro. I think for the next couple of years, the signings we make, one, we'll have to sell to buy, and two, obviously inflation, but I think we stick around the Havertz sort of range. We're going to be buying 60, 70 million.
But the thing, you know, Rice is only that price because he's English, isn't it? Like,
and there's a buzz around him at the moment.
I like for Rice, that's another nationality. You're paying nowhere near 100 million for them.
Yeah,
and I get it.
We discussed this with the homegrown situation.
Yeah,
that's the England tax.
But I would argue that there's some things that there's not another player in the league because there's some things that Rice gives you that you won't get if you buy someone abroad, right?
Yeah.
So is there someone who's not English in the league that ticks all the boxes that Rice does? Young, blah, 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 blah. Who's another player in the league you could buy instead of Rice in the Premier League? Who could you buy instead of Declan Rice?
Casado?
Yeah. But we've been outpriced on the wages apparently on that one. I think Chelsea have come with the ATM on that one.
But yeah, you're right. So
yeah, and you're but again, how many games has Casado played in the Prem? How many games has Declan Rice played in the Prem? You can do the pros and cons. I can imagine him having a meeting like this, and he's like, "Okay, Casado, whiteboard." Do you know what I mean?
Not as much.
So I agree. There's English tax, but I also think there are things that his Premier League experience. There are reasons you can add up and say, you know what's best paying it because the risk we take with X, Y, Z.
Yeah, and the thing as well, as fans, we shouldn't really be hung up on the price, innit? Like you pay what someone's worth. Like I know, like the evolution of football is like 10 years ago, you would have paid this price and that would have got you this kind of player. Forget that. If you want someone and they're going to better your team, pay the money in it. Like that's
and everyone's a bet. I'd rather we paid 100 million for a player and it came through than pay 30 million for a player and it's a waste. It's a wash. I'd rather do that. But again, it goes back to my point earlier. The
only problem with that is you pay 100 mil now and
you got less money to buy other players.
Exactly. You've got less money and then what's the approach for next season? Like you said, we spend big now. It's more than likely we're not going to spend big over the next few windows.
Even if we continuously
we're have to sell to buy.
Yeah, and I think even if we continuously make Champions League, which I think is the way clubs should go now. I think the tempered spending and that's the way it should go. You know, you guys have been in the Champions League consecutively for what, 6 years?
7, I think.
6, 7 years. You'd have got to the final twice. You know, I think in the final season, you get to season in the final Champions League. It's a lot of money. You go to the Champions League final 3 times.
Yeah.
All right. I was asking.
For clarity, you know.
I was asking. So those seasons add a lot of money to the bottom line, you know, 90 to 100 million, right? So we still should. I also, what I take from this conversation is as well, yeah. Can you win the league if Man City don't slip up? Because what we're effectively saying, if Man City, because there was a blip last season where they weren't in there, but that's how Arsenal kept winning their games and doing what they're doing. If Man City kind of have a steady season, no blips, which even they have, what, no chance for you to win the league?
I mean, Liverpool Liverpool took them to what, 97? And they have what? 100? Did they breach the 100?
No, they got 99.
Yeah.
The thing is to win,
like literally, and we were like this the whole season.
Like, because of City now, you either got to win 30 out of 38 games or break 90 points in it to win the league.
Yeah.
Do you know how mad that is?
Literally.
To win 30 games out of 38 is absolutely insane. And like that's the marker in it. So you need, like I said, you need everyone
I think
to rally around.
I think City need to be handicapped. They got to start every game with 10 players.
So next season, Kevin De Bruyne is a year older. I'm trying to find like things here. Kevin De Bruyne is a bit older, but the book cover teach fine.
I mean, they still got Pep, man. He just needs to go.
Yeah,
I think,
and it's like what you said, right? Pep said, "I'm going to replace in order to keep winning. I've got to replace players." He said that to Rio. He said what he said. He asked Rio this question. When you won your first title at United, was it the same team as you won as the team that won your last title? But Real said no. He said, there you go.
Before how many titles you won? He was like, 7. 6.
Yeah.
It's like,
he said, there you go.
Yeah.
He said, you have to keep refreshing. So I think Pep,
say he won 6 Prems.
So I think even if you say, all right, De Bruyne is getting older, you think Pep's not already, Pep and City are not already looking at that?
He's on the...
All right, who can we bring in? Who's next? Who's in the academy? Is there anyone in the academy that we can bring through? No? Okay, all right, let's go and find someone that can do what Kevin's good at doing.
And the thing that's slightly annoying to me is that Pep don't look like he's slowing down. He enjoys being here.
Yeah.
Like, towards the end of Barcelona, when Jose came, you could see he looked a bit wary. You could tell he didn't really like his time at Bayern Munich because it was a bit too easy. Granted, he didn't win Champions League. He just looks energized here. Like, he's like, right, what's next? Like, chasing the treble, chasing the Champions League. Done that. I think he would have clean sweep or something.
Not interview. I watched a meeting that he had, an exit meeting almost, that he had with Fernandinho. And you saw that.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
And he was like, and then Fernandinho, he was asking him, are you going to get into management? And he was like, no, it's not for me. And then he was like, I knew from 26, I wanted to be a manager.
Wow.
And you can see the love he has for coaching and managing. And it's, this guy's, as to Keith's point, this guy's here for a while.
How's it different to Fergie's reign? I mean, Fergie won what, 13? 13 Prems. Yeah, there were some breaks in it. He won 13 Prems. I hear people lamenting now, oh, it's boring. See, I'm like, hold on. We went through a period where every week we knew Man United weren't losing. You could turn on the TV in the 88th minute. Dominance. And they were 1-0 down, and you would still be like,
they even had the referees in their pocket.
But I think the scary thing is, so with Fergie, it was like 2, nothing for a couple years, 3, nothing for a year, 2. So over like 25 years or whatever of management, it was 13 trophies in it. 13 Prems, league titles. I think with Pep, if he stayed for another 7 years, he could win 7 Prems. And I think that's where the difference is.
I don't think he wins the next 2 or 3 Prems in a row. I don't think so.
He might not.
Who do you think that another team steps up and just does better, or do you think they just?
I think a combination of the two. I think I'm gonna get cooked for this. I talked to you about this before. This Chelsea thing, man. I'm telling you, if they get the ingredients, it's one of those teams where
not next season, the season after. Okay.
Season after. It's one of those things where if they get the ingredients right, it's really gonna be amazing, or it's gonna be really bad. There's no middle.
Yeah, I agree.
But young team, if Poch can basically do the Tottenham thing, but with better players,
better resources as well.
Man, I think in a couple of years, we're gonna have these young guys running around the league like Bayern Munich on steroids, bro.
I think next season will be the marker of how dominant City can or will be.
Yeah.
So Arsenal have got their blueprint of what they can do. Liverpool have shown they can do it. Newcastle, will they kick on?
No, they will not.
Debatable,
No.
And then you're always going to have Man United in the mix.
And I'm not dismissing them saying they're going to fall off, but we're talking about challenges for the title here. So,
and then,
no Newcastle.
Who, Newcastle?
Yeah, no happening.
Do you still think at least they're going to be in the top 4? Or top 6? Let's say top 6.
Top 6, 100%.
Yeah.
I think they will challenge for the top 4, but I wouldn't put any money in them making it again.
Yeah, Champions League might derail them.
Yeah.
And Eddie Howe, first time managing in Europe, innit? So how does he navigate that for the first time? Like, there's a lot of factors in it. Like, we're not saying they're going to drop off, but there's factors for first time for the players, for the manager, etc. It might be tricky because like we mentioned like Leicester, how they done. They got to the quarterfinal, but they had a manager who managed in the Champions League before, so it wasn't it was new to the club, but not to the manager.
But I don't think they invested well.
They didn't
at all.
Who, Leicester?
Yeah, didn't they?
They didn't.
They lost Kante.
Yeah, they lost Kante, and then they lost Mahrez, and
no major investment the next season. So whereas Newcastle, they've just brought in Sandro Tonali. They're probably gonna go and bring in
up front, man.
1 or 2 players
up front.
And the thing is, to the Prem as well, like back in the day, like you had that kind of the top 4 or 5 for teams. You knew you weren't probably going to win away at one of those unless your team had like a really good day, etc. So as I said, I think to win the league, you've got to beat at least once beat the team that you're challenging in the title race for.
Yeah.
But then now you've got the teams like the Brighton, the Brentfords, even Aston Villa now. They're looking to come to your gaff and nick a point. And when you go there, they're going to kind of hold their setting, etc. And they're the games you got to get over to try and win the league.
Well, even Brighton now, when you go there, they're balling. There's no parking the bus, bruv. There's no deep block. They're balling. And if you look at when we lost the league, that was it. We didn't lose it because of the games we lost to City. We lost it because we didn't
win certain
games.
We
didn't win the games of the rest of the league. So to bring it back then, what we're basically saying is, transfer-wise, other teams need to be a bit braver and get some of those players a little bit earlier. And they need to have a system that can take advantage of those players and that potential before they're now nurtured somewhere else and then come to you at whatever elevated fee.
Yeah, 100%.
That's probably the only hope.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the Chelsea mixing bowl is done correctly. They could have that, right? You know, Nkunku, all these guys, you know, how many Champions League games has he played? Yes, he's been in Germany largely, but this is a time for him to step up. That could be a big signing. He's already got Raheem. They're going to have Jackson, Mudryk. Like, there's so many players where if they get it right, it could be a thing. But it does. I think someone's just going to have to do something really holistic football-wise. You know what I mean? A bit like the whole Arsenal thing was, they're young players, they're playing at the skin of their teeth, but then a bit of football turbulence and they lost their heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to have to do something like that. But then the story is they held their nerve.
Yeah, they maintained it.
And then that kind of breaks the deadlock. And then things shift slightly because then the players you can sign change a little bit, right? They're not just signing for you because you're paying the most money. They're signing for you because actually you're a title winner. You're a this, you're a that. Do you understand? So, yeah, let's see. But I would put a marker down now and say I'm willing to bet that City don't win the next 2 Premier Leagues in a row. That's been recorded as well.
I think they're winning at least one of them.
No, they're winning at least one out of 2. They'll probably win the 2, but I'm willing to say I don't think they do consecutively.
Yeah.